Hi, welcome back to T&L Crayfish. Today I've got a video for you that's potentially going to save you a lot of heartache and a lot of money. Getting started with raising crayfish can be quite expensive depending on the setup and the scale that you've chosen. So the last thing you want to do is have unnecessary deaths. So what I've got for you today is 10 common causes of death for crayfish, and most importantly, how to prevent them happening. So let's get started. Number one on the list is lifespan. Well-kept crayfish only live for a maximum of 5 to 6 years in optimal growing conditions. For them to reach this age, not only does their setup need to be right, you also require a strong DNA strain. Selective breeding of the healthiest bloodlines available helps you to maximise your profits. If you buy or breed what we call runts, then you'll end up with a stunted and less resistant strain of crayfish that won't live long enough for you to benefit from mass egg production. Our 5-year-old red claws can produce up to 1,000 eggs in each brood and up to 5 broods per year. So get the best crayfish you can, take care of them, and you can expect to get 5 years production out of them. Number 2 on the list, very important, water parameters. Crayfish are incredibly sensitive crustaceans, so your water pH, calcium, ammonia, nitrate and nitrite levels should be all kept within optimal ranges. There's a wide range of water test kits available on the market to suit every budget. If you're planning a large-scale breeding and hatching operation, maybe look at a digital option that monitors the water parameters 24/7 and has built-in alarms to let you know. When we talk about water, of course, oxygen levels are very important, but maybe not as much as many people think. The reason I say this is because crayfish can thrive in low levels of oxygen, but they need to be able to get their heads above the waterline in extreme low oxygen environments. Ensure you set up their habitat so that they can climb above the waterline. Rocks, pipes, and old pieces of wood are fine, just don't introduce treated or toxic species of wood. Include a simple air pump with air stones and you won't have any oxygen issues to worry about. Number 3 on the list, often overlooked, molting issues. For a crayfish to grow, it must shed its exoskeleton. This is often referred to as molting or shedding. This process is highly stressful and energy intensive for the crayfish. Molting is a common cause of death for those new to raising crayfish. It's a telltale sign that your setup isn't quite right. If your tank setup lacks the necessary minerals, particularly calcium and iodine, then their new shell may not harden properly. This can lead to deformities, fatal stress, or failure to escape their old shell. Number 4 on the list, cannibalism. Molting leads us on to number 4, which is cannibalism. The reason I link these two is because when a crayfish is molting, they're at their most vulnerable. Depending on the breed of crayfish you're growing and the stocking density you choose will directly impact how aggressive crayfish are towards each other. If you're raising juvenile crayfish, expect higher cannibalism rates. This is due to young crayfish molting more often. I've covered cannibalism in a couple of other videos, so check them out if you'd like to learn more. The details are in the description and at the end of this video. Number 5 on the list, poor diet. Crayfish are amazing scavengers that will eat a wide variety of food items given the chance. Feeding them a varied, balanced diet of both natural and commercial feeds is a good way to ensure your crayfish get the nutrients they require. Pellet feeds are effective for commercial, medium to large scale production, but not necessarily the best for your crayfish needs. Number 6 on the list, very common one this, overfeeding. Crayfish don't require a lot of food, but similar to myself, they would gladly overeat given the opportunity. When evaluating the feed to growth ratio for crayfish, we refer to this as the feed conversion ratio, or FCR. This ratio measures the weight of the feed given in kilograms, divided by the weight gain of the crayfish. Crayfish are so effective at converting nutrients into growth that their FCR of just 1.3 can be achieved. So the better the diet that you can feed your crayfish, the less feed they actually need. Before we move on to number 7, if you're finding this video helpful, make sure that you subscribe below. Number 7, underfeeding. To put this into perspective, it's far more likely that you'll kill your crayfish from overfeeding than it is from underfeeding. In fact, underfeeding is more likely to increase cannibalism than starvation itself. If you raise your crayfish in a tank setup and they are consuming all the feed within a few minutes and are still relentlessly scavenging and being aggressive towards each other, then it is likely that you need to up the amount that you're feeding them. Increase the feed quantity in small amounts to prevent overfeeding. Here on our farm, we ensure that our crayfish always have access to aquatic plants, baby live snails and algae. This way they always have something available to eat without the risk of it rotting and contaminating the water. Number 8 is death caused by stress. All crayfish are territorial by nature and prefer a dark environment to thrive. Excessive light levels and inadequate suitable habitat for them to hide, especially during daylight hours, will lead to increased stress levels. We go into much more detail about suitable habitats for a tank setup in a couple of our other videos. Again, the links are in the description and at the end of this video. Number 9 on the list, temperatures. Depending on your location and the species of crayfish you're raising, water temperature will play an important part in your setup. When crayfish become too cold, they become inactive and stop feeding, and eventually they will die. When temperatures get too high, crayfish become very active and try and get out of the water to try and find a new area to get cool. If they can't find a cool enough area, they will die. Shading and basic water heaters are usually all that's needed depending on your location and your setup. We're fortunate here on our farm in Thailand that our Australian red claw crayfish can survive in our tanks and grow out ponds all year round. All our tanks are shaded and our winters aren't cold enough here to require water heating. Number 10 on the list, and the most scary by far, toxins and contamination. Toxins, both airborne and in water sources, are probably the fastest mass killer of crayfish out of all the causes of death we've covered so far. To give you a better understanding, I'm going to tell you about 4 incidents that we've experienced ourselves here on our farm. The first was caused by my wife putting her hand in one of our breeding tanks. Unfortunately, it was the day after receiving radioactive iodine treatment. It resulted in a mass kill-off within 48 hours. The second incident was ant chalk dust, so it's like a deterrent for ants. It was blown into numerous hatching tanks. Several pregnant females died within 6 hours. The third example was from spray drift. This was from weed killer being applied by drones on a neighbouring farm. Dozens of adult crayfish died within 24 hours. The last one was the most disturbing to see because we witnessed it firsthand from start to end. And that was when dog tick and flea shampoo got washed into one of our breeding tanks. Over 50 of our best brood stock died. They ranged from 2 to 5 years old. What made this worse was that you can't buy 5-year-old crayfish here in Thailand. To say it set back our crayfish plans is an understatement. The next bit here about toxins doesn't necessarily apply to our farm because we have our own water sources. If you're pumping water into crayfish ponds and tanks, it can potentially be deadly. Many herbicides and pesticides used in farming are water soluble and are often washed into water systems after rain. You also run the risk of introducing parasites when pumping water from an unknown source. The same applies to introducing aquatic plants from the wild. It's also worth remembering a lot of mains tap water is unsuitable for raising crayfish. You may have to treat the tap water or let it stand for 24 hours. Rainwater, well water, water from a borehole or dams or ponds on your land that aren't contaminated are the way forward. Here's your bonus tip that can potentially save all your crayfish within the first 24 hours of them arriving. There's a well-known saying amongst koi carp enthusiasts that you don't take care of the fish, you take care of the water. This is also true for raising healthy crayfish. Imagine that you've constructed all your tanks, you've got oxygen set up, maybe a filtration set up, the habitat is perfect, the water is absolutely pure, and you can still kill all your crayfish. I'm talking about stock shock. Just the same as a koi carp doesn't get immediately introduced into a new tank, and I don't mean quarantining here, although that is a very good practice. What I mean is giving them adequate time to acclimatise. Crayfish, just like fish, become stressed during transportation. There will also be a difference in temperatures between packaging that they were sent in and your tank. The packaging should be opened under shaded conditions, preferably nighttime. Then small amounts of the tank water should be gradually added to the packaging containing the crayfish. If you tip your crayfish straight into the tank, you risk killing them all from shock. Deaths usually occur within the first 24 hours. Well, I hope you found this video helpful, guys. If you'd like to see more videos, check them out in the links here.